I think you're muted.
Or something.
Yeah, they can't hear you.
Start over. So
Okay,
here to start us off is it's Paul singing the national anthem.
Yeah, yes. Paul, start us off with the national anthem.
Canadian.
Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me? Is anyone listening
no. Canadian
I had
national
it muted
anthem
because I didn't want to have like feedback.
That'll work.
or the Texas song.
Okay.
Play ball.
There you go. Yep, my sound works.
Oh, perfect. Good deal.
Stop. Okay, there we go. All right, everyone. Hey, how's it going? Thanks again. We'll start over. Hi, hello, welcome to ATCON Online. I'm excited about it. These are some co-sponsors. What else did I say? Let's see. My name is Scott. I'm the host of Heroic Studios Gaming, and owner of Heroic Studios Gaming, and I have stuff. You're on my Twitch channel. I think I caught us all up. All right, welcome to ATCON Online, where we pay homage to, our favorite fans over at Absolute Tabletop. I've got the ATCON shirt too. Yeah. From that, so we're paying some homage to them peoples that we like, and we're playing games and raising money for charity, because that's what I wanted to do. Zero monies are going to me. All of it is going to go to the Game to Grow charity. I'm going to throw it because our convention is actually going to end before Mini Terrain Domains finish with their stuff. So at the end, I'm going to go ahead and throw all the money over to them to be able to use for their things. So that's what I'm planning on doing. So cool. Anyway, these are the other people that are co-sponsors. There are other sponsors that couldn't make it today, but these sponsors are here. So let's talk about them and maybe get the Canadian National Anthem or whatever we've got going on the other side. All right, so let's go to the other people, which are that way on my backwards camera. Also, my desktop camera instead of my actual camera, which sucks. But anyway, why don't you guys introduce yourselves? And now that everyone can hear us all.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I'll start. I didn't see what direction you pointed, but I'm the one that's next to you on the overlay here. So I guess that's me. Hey, everybody. Good morning, at least in my part of the world. My name is Jeremy. I have a YouTube channel called the Erasmus Expeditions. You can see it plastered all over the fake wall back behind me here. I run a lot of like one-shots and trilogies and campaigns and live plays and stuff like that on my channel, as well as host a show called The Help Action, where we discuss RPGs, and we talk about particular topics involved in gaming, get to know people from the community a little bit better. I love everything to do with tabletop role-playing games, and I'm super excited to be here as a part of Not AtCon. I've been a fan of Absolute Tabletop and their products for a long time, so I'm really excited to kind of highlight some of the stuff that they've accomplished and just get the chance to throw some bones and get some games in this weekend. So thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this, Scott.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul. I'm also known as the Raven Rolls. You can find me Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, probably YouTube. I think they're still on Facebook, everywhere. I'm not running a lot right now, but I'm in a co-op Starforge campaign. You can check out on Twitch or on YouTube. And we're also working on some RPG supplemental stuff. Hopefully we'll have something to show for that soon. And I've been following Absolute Tabletop for, I think, even before it became official, but most of my content has been inspired, like either directly or indirectly, by Absolute Tabletop. Even Starforge, they've worked on that as well. Their adventure kits, their RPG games, from Hyperspace T6 to Mecha Hack to Dragon Grin and everything else. So can't wait for this convention. It's in a few games. It's going to be a lot of fun.
y'all. I'm David L. Weaver, also known as Dave the Story Guide of the XP Guild. I am co-owner / creator. My partner in disguise is Bill _ the XP Guild. If it wasn't for AbTab, our channel wouldn't even exist because that is officially how we met. And it was actually through Paul. So how the world turns. So we do a whole lot of games over on our channel, the XP Guild, or twitch.tv, that kind of thing, XP Guild. We do all of our live stream games there. Come and participate and do all kinds of fun stuff. We have little channel points for our players, and you can award them various things, or give your DMs disadvantages. Yes, as well as all our edited stuff that from our live streams goes to our YouTube page. We're backlogged right now, but just wait for it. It'll come. But yeah, you can check us out on all the social medias except for TikTok, which I'm debating about getting on, but we'll see. My other people are saying, no, Dave, no, but we'll see. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I'm excited about this convention. Right now, please come, please sign up. We still have a ton of slots open and a lot of fun games ready to be played by wonderful, wonderful DMs, game masters, so on and so forth. And hopefully we get to do this again next year. So
yeah, and I mean,
thank you, Scott.
Now that I've done it once, I can probably do it a lot easier. It was a lot more than I thought it was going to be, so I totally understand why this sort of thing doesn't happen every year for the gentlemen over at Absolute Tabletop. But I'm glad that I could help out a little bit and give them the opportunity to relax, and we could still have some fun times playing the games and talking about them. And I don't know if they'll ever see this, but let's talk about them a little bit. Since you guys mentioned how Absolute Tabletop has affected you, I thought I would share my experiences and then ask you guys for some stories or whatever. But I got involved in Absolute Tabletop because I had started playtesting for Maximum Apocalypse, the RPG, my first one that I released. And I was looking for playtesters, and a friend of mine from college who was in one of the other chapters of my college fraternity, he was like, hey, you should check out this group called Absolute Tabletop. They've got people there. They're a really cool community. And if you're looking for playtesters, I'm sure you can find people there. So I joined, and initially it was very mercenary. And I joined to be like, hey, I need playtesters. Come join my playtest, right? And that was like my first, I got into the community, and then the very first thing I did was join my playtest. But the more I was involved in it, the more I was like, these actually are really cool people. And the people that did join my playtest were super awesome people. And eventually, I got pulled in, right? And I did not get involved in the Dead Man's Guide to Dragon Grin, for, reasons aside from just that I don't play D&D. But, aside from that, I was too late, I think, to the party. But when Mecha Hack came out, they were doing stuff for that, I was like, well, what's this now? And I jumped on board and was like, oh, holy crap, this is fun. But actually, if I remember correctly, I think the Shadows over Drift Chapel was the first thing that flagged me. And the deal is with that is that the Adventurous Kit, the Adventurous Kit content for that is actually the major thing. I love Mecha Hack, and that's why I'm running 2 Mecha Hack games this convention. But the Shadows of Drift Chapel Adventure Kit concept, it was here I was designing games, and then there was this adventure kit, and it just blew my mind. I was like, oh, this is a great way to design, adventures. I don't have to go start to finish. I can do these bits in between, and the game masters can sort of, play around with the pieces, and it really opened my eyes to the concept of how you could design a thing and not have it be a solid point-to-point story that you're kind of railroading your players into. And so that was a massive influence over my ability to create things and understand how other people create things when they come to game creation. So my hat is off to those gentlemen who came up with that, because it blew, like I said, it blew my mind. Here I was making a full RPG and was like, there are other ways to approach RPG design. So So that's my story, and so that obviously like locked me in as a fan from like that point forward. But then the guys themselves are super cool dudes, and so that's the thing. Going to that the Absolute Tabletop ATCON convention in Seattle, I was like meeting everybody, and just as I had suspected, everyone was super cool. So, that's why I'm here. That's why this is happening, is because that's my fanness is coming out. So does anyone have their favorite or first or story from favorite or first, whichever you want to share about your time with Absolute Tabletop?
Yeah, I'll go. So yeah, I stumbled across AbTab, like Paul said, kind of before AbTab was actually officially a thing. I started listening to the podcast that Matt and Barker did with Alex Gillette called Roll Up and Die. And I became a very big fan of listening to that podcast. And what struck me about it was not only did they keep coming out with these kind of really great ideas, different ways of thinking about running a game and your presence at the table and all that kind of stuff that I started really syncing up with, but was also their chemistry, just how relaxed they were with each other, and how, everybody was able to joke with one another while also talking about game stuff. And I really, really loved that. So I followed it pretty closely, and then they started dropping all the hints about this thing that was coming up, and, what could it possibly be? AbsoluteTabletop.com. And so I started, looking into it and realized that they were starting the company. And so it actually brought me back to Facebook. I had kind of sworn off Facebook at that point. But I was like, well, if there's a group like this on Facebook, then maybe it's worthwhile signing back in. And I'm really, really happy that I did. I ended up kind of starting the YouTube channel after that shortly. And I've had the opportunity to get to game with so many people from all over the world, and from different, not angles, but different approaches to running games. And it's really been hugely beneficial for me as a gamer. Just not only for, the mechanical side and the, the depth of role-playing side, but even just getting to spend time with people that I would normally have not met otherwise, especially, in light of the pandemic and everything like that. But as far as my favorite memory, there's a lot of memories in this community, and that I'm very, very thankful for. I was very fortunate to be able to go to the first 3 ATCON conventions that they had in person in Seattle, and it's absolutely incredible. I think if anything tops the list, it might have to be watching Lloyd run into a sliding glass door at one of the after parties. Not to harp on his expense, but it was very unexpected, and yeah, it led to a lot of really silly laughing. So yeah, I love this community very much. I'm a huge gamer nerd at heart, and it does my heart really, really good to have found a group of people that is not only so creative and supportive, but can also just be good human beings at the same time. So I'm very, very thankful to have found AbTab.
Yeah, and like one of my things with like my brand, as it were, of who I am is that I try to be as genuine as possible. And I wasn't entirely sure that would work as far as my personal brand would go, quote unquote. But that's how these guys are, right? All 4 of them are just decent human beings, and they continue to try to be decent human beings. I'm like, okay, so obviously this works. So that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Paul, what about you? You got some stories for us?
I guess how I came to be part of the AbTab community. I think I wasn't part of any online group. Most of my gaming was offline at the time. I don't even know how, but I stumbled across a YouTube channel, and one of the members of this, there was a campaign, and one of the members was Barker. And he started plugging, I think it was the one-shot group on Facebook. And that's how I got into the online community, and then eventually into AbTab. And I don't think any of the other members of that group are still part of the online community, at least not an AbTab, but through Barker or everyone else. And also for ATCON, I've been meaning every year to show up, and something always comes up. And especially the last few years, it's been COVID has been coming up, and maybe next year, it's a plan. It's everyone keeps saying show up. It's a lot of fun, and I said, okay, you know what? I think I can plan this, and then so we'll see. Maybe next year if they run it, and
here's to hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for some of us, it's easier to show up. Like me, I just have to get in the car and drive about 4 hours, and then I'm there. So I'm a little bit easier for me.
I'm a few more hours than that.
Just a couple more hours, right?
Yeah.
Me and Jeremy slightly further.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing. I have to be able to fly because I'm not doing 45 hours in the car. Sorry.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I was looking at traveling, but for me to go cross country, it's probably more time than I can put aside for this. So I was thinking, try to piggyback on a vacation and stop by for the weekend. But yeah, we'll see. It's there. Yeah, I haven't been to a convention in a few years and stuff, and now all my gaming is online. I haven't restarted my offline game. I think the last offline game 2017, 2018, something like that. So right before COVID and everything. So it's I have no need to, I guess. Now with this community, most of my online games my current online games are through Absolute Tabletop Group, and then now also Twitch. So I got two sources of it.
Cool. All right, then we're just going to go to Dave. Dave, by the way, I didn't tell everybody why you have a small head in comparison to the rest of us. You have this small space. It's not because we put you in a corner and we're like, Dave, you get over there in your little box. It's simply because I had everything ready to go, and then you came in, and I was like, oh, unexpected last-minute challenger. Yeah. So I had to, get you in there. But anyway.
That's all right. Anybody that watches the XP Guild, I'm always in a tiny little box.
I actually have. I have watched. I didn't mention this. I was going to, and then I forgot about it when I came back to my turn. But because of your channel is how I really got into the Dungeon Maker thing that I've got that I used for the maps for Beta Red. So, because you were showing off how to do it, and so I like.
Yeah,
so I went full in and the Dungeon Draft, and I went in and bought the full thing and bought a bunch of assets so that I could do it, and so it's actually your fault. So this whole thing is like a big circle, right? Like Dave's fault that I used Dungeon Draft for the maps for Beta Red, and so there are maps for Beta Red, and that comes from Dave and seeing him in Absolute Tabletop. It's a big circle of design stuff.
It is. And and we wouldn't have never met if it wouldn't have been for AppTab. So
exactly,
so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Wow. Where to begin? I came in AppTab shortly right after the first actual ATCON. They just had ATCON, and then I came into the playing field from many, many different other gaming Facebook groups, because at first I'm an artist by trade. So my Facebook, like a complete, take a bunch of crayons, throw them out on a hot, cement wall, and bam, there's art, But the art community, I love them to death, but oh my God, so much drama. And it's just like, I'm tired of that. Let's go back to our old ways, go back to gaming, because I've had gaming since way, way, way back. and started just clicking the like button or follow button or whatever the freak button is on Facebook now. And eventually I came across AbTab, and Barker let me in. He's like, welcome. And I like to call that back then in those days were the golden age of AbTab. I mean, there were so many games that was posted on AbTab that you just couldn't sign up for all of them. I mean, you would get into a game just like that. And it was beautiful. And that's how I met Paul. Paul's like, hey, I got this guy I know that's running this game. And we started playing Bill's game. And Bill and me hit it off quite well. And I was running my game, but not online. And I don't know how it happened. It was just kind of like ha 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 moment with me and Bill. And it was just like, hey, you want to do something together? And Bill's like, yeah, why not? What do you want to do? Well, let's make a module together. And we're like, okay. So we created the wheel trim train heist was our very first product. And we all our stuff is on Drive Through RPG, the XP Guild. That's how you find us. And that led into like, well, we need to stream it to play test it and blah, blah, blah. And one thing led to another. And we created not only a channel, but a company. And it's funny because people ask me, so your partner is in California. I'm like, yeah, I'm in Texas. And what's even more wild about it is we actually met for the very first time this past October. So in person. So Jeremy was part of that. So and yeah, it's and that's another thing that's wild about AbTab. Never known it until AbTab, but Jeremy lives like maybe 45 minutes away from me, depending on evil Houston traffic. So, and road construction. So, but yeah. And the community has been a world of wonderful people, wonderful things. And yeah, I like I said before, first coming out, if it wasn't for AbTab, the XP Guild wouldn't exist. So, and it's been a joy running the XP Guild. Right now, the players are laughing because they call it Dave's collecting time zones. So, because of all the people because we have a Discord page Discord channel that we are running, and we got now 44 people strong. So, and almost all over the world. I've got a few countries that I'm missing, but that's it. That's about it. So if you're out there, anybody from South America, come talk to me. So
that's funny. Yeah, I mean that's basically how it goes, though, right? That is what happens with the online gaming thing. Is you have these things where and then you meet people, and so like I'll share a funny story from ATCON, from the one I attended before COVID hit. I met several people in person, and so I had these like mental images of what they look like, because you see a head, and so you're like, all right, this is what they look like, and then you meet them, and they're like 7 feet tall, and like, it's like, like, what is going on right now? Did not expect you to be like a foot taller than me. What is happening? So there's this thing that happened where I like saw all these people, and I didn't recognize them because they were not what my mental image of them would be. But then I recognized their face, right? That was about what I got. But then I was like, now I'm intimidated because Barker is 8.5 feet tall and like looms over me. He's not that tall, but he is tall. Like they're all taller than me. And I'm 6 feet tall. So it's weird to be like every single one of the AbTab like guys is taller than me by at least a few inches. Is an odd feeling. But yeah, so like that was the funny thing that happened is like I met all these people in person, and I was like, wow, my mental image of what their whole rest of their body looks like is not matching with this.
I think Matt goes by people call him a hobbit, I think. And
Yeah, dire
so you
hobbit.
expect him
That's
to
what
be
he-
a dire hobbit, but still you expect him to be on the shorter side. But
No.
yeah, well,
Like at worst, he's the same height as I am. Like at worst,
Oh.
right? And that's why it's like,
Well,
yeah.
I knew Barker was taller.
All you do is when you go to the conventions, just hold your camera up just to set a certain point where you just see this part and up, and then that's the way either you have it, So
I mean, yeah. So the only thing that I can compare this to is the surreal experience I had of meeting John Cena in person at an airport and finding out that he was much shorter than his online presence makes him out to be. Because like even his Wikipedia says he's 6'5" or whatever, and I was like, "Yo, bro, and I were the same height, and I am not 6'5". So, so there's that. It was the same kind of thing where I'm just like the opposite effect though of them being much taller than I was expecting, and that was the thing. So, and some of them were like, some people were very good looking in comparison to what their camera presence was. That was the other side too. Like wow, like camera actually doesn't work out for you very well. You are a good looking person. Like, I wish I dressed as nice as you. But anyway, but it was fun. It was cool. But that was my interesting, fun, like meeting people in person experience from meeting all of these faces that I saw online or had gamed with, and meeting them in person and being like, wow, I had a different mental image, but that's cool.
Yeah, it's really great to be able to finally meet people in person that you've gotten to know online. I came from the era of like internet where you don't meet people from the internet. Like it's potentially very scary and dangerous. And but obviously I formed really close bonds with a lot of people online. So it wasn't that much of a concern. And it's just incredible to be able to share a drink or get a hug from a lot of the people in the community. It's been incredible when people have been coming through Houston or whatnot, and they touch base with me, and I'm like, well, hey, if you're passing through my part of town, like there's this really fun restaurant that we should go to, and we'll go catch a dinner or a lunch. So I've gotten to meet people's families and their kids, and it's amazing to me that I've gotten that opportunity, and it's all because of gaming for one, but specifically because of AvTab existing and the community that kind of grew up around this funky little independent company that in turn grew out of them playing together, which is just amazing. So I really like the story, the narrative of kind of like how AvTab formed, or our understanding of how it formed and grew and what it's kind of become, and the incredible success that they've had as a company. It's very much, and I've always said this, the Absolute Tabletop group on Facebook is the corner of the internet that I consider home. That's where I go to interact with people and to kind of chill out and relax and to kind of get a little bit of a refresh from constantly trying to come up with my own stuff. If I feel like that's tapped out, I can go to AvTab and kind of re-energize, and it's just amazing that exists.
I mean, to add to that, what Jeremy said, that was one thing that I noticed between all the other Facebook groups. Was all the other Facebook groups is, hey man, like you said, Scott, can you play? I need play testers. I need somebody to play. AvTab was like, hey man, what'd you just drink? What are you having for lunch? How's it going? And you're like, wait a minute. This is different. This is something that you don't see in all these other groups. People are actually like wanting to be friends with each other, and you're like, what? And that's what made it so wonderful. So unique compared to all the other groups, and even to this day, people are still like, what you doing? But and it's all it's not what you're doing, but that whole I want to play a bard. Anybody can I so on and so forth. Not hey, how's it going? Let's hang out. Let's just chat.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I was gonna say, not to say that we don't have conflicts every now and then. There have been a few arguments that have occurred inside, but there's everyone. everyone does that. Oh, someone is posting an ad or something in the chat. But a perfect example of what you're describing is over here. Jeremy posted a question. So what gaming does everyone have going on this weekend, right? Like his question there is posed to like people. It's not the same kind of question you generally get in groups. Like he's like, yo, what are you guys doing? What's up? Tell me about what you're doing. And that's the kind of thing that this community is built on, like these kinds of questions, and then people discussing, oh, well, I'm going to be doing this game or that game, and upcoming next weekend I've got this game going on, and then people being like, oh, I love that system, it's cool, I like that, or I've always wanted to play that system, what can you tell me about it? And it turns into this communication between people rather than being like, here's an ad for my YouTube channel, here's an ad for my Discord, here's an ad for my thing. You know, we're like genuinely talking. Like, I really love those posts that come up and it's like, what I want to do this year, and like, you know, pictures of the covers of the books for the games that they want to play and discussing them and why they want to do them. And that always leads to people being like, oh yeah, it's my favorite system, or oh yeah, I saw the Kickstarter for that, and things like that. And it always turns into a fun discussion. And it always makes me want to go, oh, I'm going to show what I'm going to do, you know, and get excited to share my stuff. And there's like one person will post, and like 8 or 9 other people will also copy and be like, I stole this, but here's what I got going on. And it's just fun. Like, if I were to go onto Facebook and like decide I wanted to leave groups, I could leave essentially almost every group I'm in on Facebook. But I don't think that I would leave AbTab unless, I don't know, I was just leaving Facebook entirely. Like, that's essentially what I'm getting at. Like that group will just always be there for me to be able to leave as a group and go back and visit it and see what's going on.
Yeah, there's a nice, strong sense of community. It's not just a place to find games. It's there's actual discussion related to all things gaming and even, you know, movies, TV shows, things like that. And yeah, it's a lot of other places that sometimes become a little toxic and stuff, but AbTab has maintained a pretty good, I guess, feeling and acceptance and stuff. So
it would be cool if some of these, you know, spammers that came on, you know, hey, you know, come sign up for my Patreon, this, that, and the other, you know. I actually asked a few of them, hey, it's like, hey, by the way, are you going to run a run shot? You know, and of course you don't get any response whatsoever, you know, but, you know, it'd be nice if they would like, oh, is this, you can do that here? And I'm like, yeah. So, you know, you don't have to sit here and, you know, send your, you know, come play, you know, Straws and Trolls, you know, video game, you know, this, that, and the other, you know, and then, you know, spam it, you know, 5 days a week on this Facebook page, because no one's going to sign up for that. So
I think the funniest thing with that is like on AbTab that I sort of picked up on, it was pretty funny, and I started doing it myself, is when you like the gentle push against like the spammers, right? Not like the get out of here, you spammer, but like the gentle push. I can't remember his name, but the one guy that kept posting his YouTube videos, he was fine. Like, I wasn't upset. Like, his videos were fine. I watched a few of them, but he was like, it was like the title of the video was like his comment. Like, it'd be like the title of the video and then like the video itself, and then like it was like a thing where it just kept repeating like the question, like, should I do this in gaming, right? And then like the catch screen from the YouTube was like, should I do this in gaming, right? Like that kind of thing. And the gentle pushback that everyone did was like, the comments were like, should I do this in gaming? Should I do this in gaming? Just like repeating the title over and over again. Hey, I wonder, should I do this in gaming? And just like the gentle push against the spam, being like, hey, listen, we recognize that this is spam. Please stop spamming. But not in an aggressive way, but in like a funny kind of response. And I appreciated that, because it's like, that's a gentle reminder, like, hey, we're here as a community, not just here for you to share your YouTube videos with.
And that's the thing. I mean, I always feel bad about, you know, hey, come check out the XP Guild, because we do a lot of shit now. I feel
really bad posting about my stuff because I feel like I'm spamming, even though I'm not. And that's what.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But at least I try to like go through and go, oh, they're talking about something. Well, I'm going to add my comments there, or I'm going to say something about this, and try to interact with all the other people that's, actually talking, instead of going, come look at this, come buy this, come do this, that, and the other,
And there's also nothing wrong with being a lurker who just kind of watches all of these shots and doesn't really get involved. You absolutely be a lurker all you want. The fact is that you're lurking because you are reading these things, so you obviously enjoy them. And if the only posts you ever make are like, hey, I'm doing this game, does anyone want to join? We're not quite so upset about that. Like on Reddit, there's like this thing saying if you're not part of the Reddit community that you're posting in, the Redditors will tear you down. In AbTab, that's not really how that goes down, right? Like if somebody lurks and then like posts a thing, usually people are like, well, hey, listen, you've been in this group for a little while. That's fine, lurk all you want. It's totally cool to be a lurker. It's a matter of like the community trying to be a community and spammers being an obvious like standout. Like we know you're spamming because you're obviously not part of the community. You don't respond to these posts. You don't listen to see what's going on. And then you're like 18 times in a week, like, here's my YouTube channel. Come check out my YouTube channel.
Well, and they don't even respond to their own comments.
Yeah, and then when you comment, you don't respond to it. Like, yeah, that's what
so.
Yeah, and I think some of that is inherent just in any group that gets to a certain size. Yeah. It being a candle for the moth kind of thing. There's enough people that are regularly hanging out in a place like AbTab, and there's a lot of traffic and a lot of motion. So I think that draws in those kinds of vultures a little bit. And it's unfortunate, but it is also kind of endearing in a way because that the group is working, that it has a lifeline for these ticks to be drawn to. So it's a cool sign. But I think really that one of the things that has made AbTab function as well as it has as a community is that the four founding fathers definitely kind of gave a lead by example type approach, especially whenever the community was first starting. It was their interactions with one another and their interactions with us as fans of their products that kind of set the tone for the way that it was acceptable to behave in the group, and that it was going to be a very positive, supportive place. The fact that they would engage with us so openly, a lot of companies that you follow, a lot of brands that you follow, it can be difficult to have a line of communication with them that's very open. There's usually kind of a wall that's put up there, and with the AbTab guys, that's never been the case. They've always been very transparent about what they were working on and been very open to everybody's feedback from us as a community. And I think that has helped strengthen their business model, but also our community as a whole.
For sure. Because it just brings me joy that I can just actually sit there and like Facebook message any of them, and they're like, "Hey, Dave, what's going on?" And you're like, "Really?" So, and it's really, really cool because I know, like, I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but there's this other guy that runs, quote unquote, the biggest D&D, Facebook channel, but like, he's like Nazism over there. It's just like, shut this down, badmouth this girl, and it's just like, dude, like, why are you being a hypocrite, and then now his latest thing is like, if you want to post anything at all, then talk to me personally and we'll set up, a fee for you to advertise on the biggest blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, you suck. Bye.
That is the distinct difference. I will say that my when I was starting out, right, and I had no idea what I was doing, I'm like, I'm going to make a game, right? I'm going to start a game company. I actually remember that I messaged one of them. I don't remember who. One of them. It doesn't really matter. They all kind of would have the same response, right? Where I messaged whichever one of them I messaged, and they were like, "Yeah, hey, let me answer your questions." And like, I had messaged a few other people. So again, not naming names, but I had messaged a few other people, and some responses I got were like, I am not going to share with you the insides of how I run my business because it's how I run my business, and I don't need to share with you the secrets of running my business. But like, meanwhile over there, whichever one I messaged of the 4 was like, yeah, hey man, that's cool. Like, I hope it works out for you. Here's kind of like some stuff from our experiences, like this is what we found worked, and this is some stuff that didn't work, and like, I hope it works out for you. And I was like, it was a dramatically different response. And I was like, what's cool is I had sort of hoped for this kind of response from you guys, and I got it. So obviously, again, genuinely nice people that weren't like, let's hide our secret business inner workings because, I don't know, we have some clothes. I don't know what the thing is. It's a business. Like, they all run the same, right? I just was like, what? I know how to run a popsicle stand, but I don't know how to run a gaming company, right? Like, and it was nice. It was nice of them to be like, yeah, let me help you on your journey because I'm just a few steps ahead on that journey. So let me give you some insight onto where I've gone and the weird runaround path that I ended up on that you probably can avoid if you know that there's a fork in the road coming.
Well, that's like, it's just basic humanity, in my opinion, and especially in light of the kinds of things that have been coming, to public attention over the last like week or so, within the gaming community. Yeah. It's refreshing to find people who have found and experienced success, who are willing to turn around and give a hand to the people who are climbing that same mountain, and not just do it out of some sense of like, well, somebody did it for me, so I should do it for other people, but like a genuine desire, or at least it feels like a genuine desire to see other people succeed. And that it's not just a competition, that it's, it's good, to share what you've learned with people who need that information, who haven't lived that experience yet. So yeah, I'm hugely thankful for any advice that they are willing to pass down and give to me whenever I go to them, and the fact that they give it so graciously, and again, like a genuine concern or desire to see what you're working on do well. It's unique, and it's one of the reasons why I've stuck around as long as I have.
Yeah, on that note, I'm going to share a story, cool story of the guys from Absolute Tabletop at ATCON in Seattle in 2019 or whenever it was that I attended. Yeah, I think it was 2019. I was showing Maximum Apocalypse off to everyone that was there, and I was like, hey, check this out and stuff. And a couple of them, like, I guess I don't know what was going on, but all of a sudden I got approached by like Barker and I think it was Tim. I can't remember exactly. There's so much going on. I didn't quite know who was whom exactly. And so I was still learning the names of the peoples. Again, I didn't recognize the 7-foot-tall monster creeping up from behind me. But anyway, they just kind of like flipped through. They were like asked if they could look at it. They like flipped through the pages, and it was weird because I was super busy. So like, I don't know that I came off as appreciative at the time, but it was like a profound one of those memories that just sort of stuck and has stuck in my brain. And helped me out in times when I thought, well, should I just give up on this project because it's really rough? But they were like, the response was, hey man, this is genuinely very good. This looks very cool. Like, congratulations on putting all this work into it. And, for that to have come from guys who had already made products that I had purchased, right, is a very cool thing to happen. And it was just like, I still remember just kind of like half looking over my shoulder and kind of like getting this feedback and like trying not to like stop talking to the people that I was running a game for. But at the same time, like also being like, I just got told that my product was very cool by people whose products I think are very cool. And so like this sort of memory kept it going when like there were times I was like, I don't know, should I just give up? I'm like, no, listen, you had this giant of a person telling you your product was very cool. So, obviously some people like your stuff. And so like that's a moment of like, he didn't have to do that, and there was actually zero obligation in any way to have said anything to me at all. And yet he did take the time to come over, look at it, and say something about it. Yeah. So you're right. It feels very genuine because, like I said, he could have just said nothing. He could have done nothing, but instead he approached and was like, well, let me look at this. So anyway, that's my story.
Yeah, and I've had, a very, not a similar experience because I haven't, actually published much of anything yet, but just in even just the games that I've run or the ideas that I've had and shared with the community, just having them and other people from the community who I also admire and respect a lot, be able and willing to come forward and say, hey, this is a really cool idea. If you want, some input, I'd be willing to talk to you about it. Here's some places I think maybe you could work on some things, or I really think that you've got something with this idea. You should explore that further. You should take that to the next step. Finding a large collection of people who have that same mentality has been wholly unique with my experiences on the internet. and it's really it kind of rekindled hope in my heart for humanity, and what we can accomplish online, as opposed to the dark side of what usually goes on the internet. So yeah, I'm again, like it has revolutionized the way that I approach gaming and the way that I approach running games, and it's been a very welcomed respite for me.
Yeah, I think the community itself, even aside from the four of them, and it's just so much collaboration among some of the published works. You got the Cryfoth setting has people, like Marquise helped out with that, and then it's like as I said, there's so much collaboration with people, even if it's just not even for the published stuff, or just for material in general. Like you can bounce ideas off of people, get ideas, like just fine tune. And if you have a stumbling block, like you're trying to develop a campaign idea, or just a one shot, and you're like, oh, anyone have an idea how it can work this into something? And as I said, it's just a great community, even if you're not even playing any games, as I said, for everything in between. So it's a lot of fun.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know how many hours me and Paul spent late night, Paul going, I got to get to bed. I'm like, I know. Then we just keep on working on stuff, and this, that, and the other,
Oh.
And then, another experience was another ab tabber. I'm going to say his name wrong. Sorry, but Rob Coletto. I hope I said your name right, Rob. But yeah, I mean, he was a big inspiration for me when I was like debating if I wanted to do one particular game. And I told him about this hero game that I ran way back in the day. And he's like, Dave, you just on the name alone of the city, you have to like revive that and do it again, and then just, telling people the biggest thing that I absolutely loved about AppTab is when they got the idea of just before, I guess it was during the Kickstarter, they did the 30-day world challenge or world setting challenge. That was like, because it opened your brain up to going, okay, I can't ramble on for 4 hours about what my world's about. Instead, I've got to put it in these little parameter, little question things, and this, that, and the other. And I got to the point because everybody that knows me, I'll go for hours, on stuff. And a lot of times, shut up, Dave, stop it, And but no, this challenge for me personally was I was able to take this world setting that I had been working on for years and put it in a box that made sense, it basically it could be published, stuff like that, And I did a personal challenge for myself. It's like, okay, I could go on and on and on, but I did it in 1-page documents. Each and every question I did. I was just like, and some people did the 30-second, whatever, video on it or something like that. And people challenged their own self to do stuff within the challenge itself. So, which was incredible. And AbTab was flooded with insanely amazing world settings for 30 days. So
I completely forgot about the 30-day world building challenge that you mentioned, but that is actually how I built the setting for Beta Red, was trying to answer those questions. So for Beta Red, when you open it up and you see like the setting itself is open enough for people to be able to build their own cities, but like defined enough that you know that there are flying cars and things. That happened because I built the world based on that challenge. I completely forgot about it, but that was like that was how I built the world for Beta Red.
Yeah, it just hit me as we're talking here.
If there's a non-app product I recommend, it's Beta Red. It's simple, it's easy to get into, but there's just so much to it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And
thanks for the ad.
Jeremy's got this line of awesome little one-shot game. Well, not one-shot, one-page games. I can't remember the name of them, but I still want to play He-Man, god darn it.
The Expedition Engine. Yeah.
Yes.
You were talking collaborations though real fast, and I just remembered. So this is the character sheet for Maximum Apocalypse. The art there was done by Runehammer Games, because we were trying to find like somebody to make our character sheet. Well, I had like our basic one, and I was like, we probably want a pro to do it. And Mike at Rockman was like, well, I could talk to some of my artists and see what they could do. And I was like, okay, well, I know a guy, so you just let me know. And the reason I knew that he could do it is because he had done the character sheets for Cryforth, and he also did for Mecha Hack. He did the art there and stuff. And I was like, so I know I could message him, see what he says. And then it was like a week later, Mike was like, hey, can you message your guy and see if he's available? So I did, and it turned into some emails, and then some more emails with like price agreements and for payment for the work and stuff. And then there we are. Now we have the Maximum Apocalypse character sheet, which was made by him. And for our upcoming Few and Cursed RPG, like he doesn't know this yet, but Mike is gonna message him again to see if he can make the character sheet for that one as well if he's interested, because that's just how it is. And that came about because of the collaborations between the various different groups in AbTab, right? They were like, hey, I'll work on this project with you. Oh, hey, that was good work, and you work on this project with me, and then bam, we have this sort of collaboration thing. And even to another extent, like my own collaboration, the whole what did we call it? The under the aquatic dungeon or the undersea dungeon thing that we made was just like a funny thing that we did at ATCON Online 2 years ago, where we just grabbed a bunch of people and was like, hey, let's make a dungeon together. And so we have this sort of goofy, free to download like dungeon with like 7 or 6 different rooms that all are different rooms. Like one is like lava pits and crabs. Just these various places in this dungeon that we just made on the fly as a convention like game, right? Like it was like, all right, you 4 creatives, let's go make a dungeon together. I think there were 6 of us, but yeah, that was the thing. The upside down aquarium is what it's called, or something like that. Because you're in the aquarium and there's a bunch of people looking at you. That's how the dungeon goes.
So what I loved the most is basically when I started my art career way back in 2000, I can't even remember, but it was 2005, 2006. I joined a community of artists, and we all became friends, and it was just this wonderful collection of creators doing stuff together, making art and stuff like that. And eventually, as time progressed, that fell apart. People got their own stuff doing this, that, and the other. AbTab made me have flashbacks, made me get excited about creating again, because it was, once again, a little tight knit group of creators that was like, hey, let's create something together and let's create our own little, because, in the art world, I'm creating my own artwork while you're creating your own artwork, but we're inspiring each other in a weird kind of a way. And that's what AbTab has done. Is it has inspired each of our little pockets of creativity in its own little special way.
Waxed philosophical about our love for AbTab for a goodly amount of time now, roughly 45, 50 minutes or so, because, we started really late. But any last thoughts or things you want to share before we jump into playing games together and crushing things with our mech feet and whatever other things we've got going on for this convention?
For the audience?
Yeah, or for us, whichever. We're all talking to each other. However you want to, things you want to share last minute.
Yeah, I think for me, for the audience, please go sign up. These are wonderful, wonderful people to game with, if you haven't noticed. And this is not all of us either. This is just a little bitty tad bit of us. So if you thought we were wonderful, imagine the rest of us. so sign up. It's only $5 and something cents, I think. I can't remember exactly, but it's less than $10. So come on. For the entire convention,
$6.31, only because there's a $1.31 charge for the website, unfortunately.
And you don't even have to get up out of your chair.
Yeah, I would second David's recommendation. Please do come sign up. This is for a great cause. It's a bunch of people getting together in gaming, which, that's never a bad thing. And being able to do so for a charity is just like icing on the cake. So I'm really excited to be playing and running in games and talking on some panels and stuff this weekend. And I guess if there's any other parting thing that I have to say, it's just be nice to each other. Like out there, the world is a harsh fucking place, and like there's no reason to not be nice and be kind and supportive. It doesn't cost you anything. So, yeah, don't be a dick.
And if you can't make it to the convention, you can still purchase a donation ticket, essentially. So you get to donate some money. Did we talk about Game to Grow? I can't remember if we did.
We did not. Do you want to?
We did not.
Well, I guess you can. You're the one who picked them. I guess you might know them a little better.
Yeah, I know them from Mini Terrain Domain telling me about them. I know that they're an agency or a charity that is a 501c3. I can't remember how to pronounce that because in my fraternity we used to pronounce it differently. But anyway, they're a charity that raises money for gaming stuff and using gaming as like a therapy tool for people that have various issues and, working them through those things. Because for a lot of us, like sometimes we don't really know how to talk to people or how to be people. And sometimes approaching them through gaming things helps us to understand. Like, I know that this was actually, I can't remember where this came up, but there was a conversation about people who have realized that there was something different about them, have used the gaming sphere to realize that they were maybe not the person that they thought they were. That they were, they started playing characters that were more what they felt comfortable being. And then they were like, this is who I want to be. And that is the kind of thing that we can use gaming for, and, address things that we're feeling and explore them in a safe environment that is a game type environment. And so a charity that does that sort of thing to me is super cool. I just did this convention just this last weekend with Onyx Path, and that was the same deal. They were raising money for a group called the Bahana Group. Same concept. And I'm like, I'm behind these charities. Let's keep doing it. But this one is up here in this area where I live. And then, and I'm doing it to help, not just to help them as much as I can. But like I said, I got the idea from Jake and Mini Terrain Domain, and that's where it came from. And so, yeah, we're also helping them, who are going to raise, I'm sure, a ton more money for it than we are. But hey, you know what? If I can help in any way, that's cool with me. To be able to support that kind of therapeutic stuff that involves something that I love, right? I love gaming. And so to use this medium that I love so much to help people work through problems that they're having, or just in general, like, feel like assemble parts of themselves. Because I'm going to be real honest, like, there are things like about me that I learned through gaming that I just didn't realize. Like, I realized that I can be like, on a bad side, I played a vampire LARP for 9 months. I realized I could be an incredibly devious person if I put my mind to it, right? And like really like work through the politics until I became prince of the city in 9 months, right? Like, it was a crazy adventure. But that also, because I learned I could be so devious, I learned that I can also then like hold myself against people who were trying to manipulate me, for example, because clearly I have the skills deep down to understand how to use those to my advantage. And so it was like a weird thing to happen, but it, in a sense, was very similar to this kind of thing that these therapies are doing, that these groups that help gaming therapies do, right? To be like, learn about yourself and learn how to strengthen your mental fortitude, for example, and deal with your emotions, and feel things out about yourself in a, like I said, in a safe environment where people aren't going to judge you, where it's a game, and you can debrief from it and walk away and understand why you felt the way that you felt, and or recognize if that's a thing that you want to hold on to or let go of, right? That kind of stuff. So that's it. That's my big plug for this group and for these kinds of charities in general.
It's funny because this particular charity and whatnot holds a personal to my heart almost, because I grew up during the what was it called, the D&D is Satan,
the Satanic Panic.
Yes, the Satanic Panic. And it was, I guess, high school. I was, middle school, then high school. I was really struggling. A lot of my friends were dropping out because they were on the same level and stuff like that. And gaming came into my life. And then I went to a psychologist that was kind of like a, hipster kind of whatever, he was at the time, new wave, whatever the hell you want to call it at that moment. But he literally told me that don't give up gaming, because gaming is going to help you get out of school. And then he laid it all out. What does gaming do? And how does gaming relate to high school or, school in general? And he just unplugged that whole, thing, that evil thing about on gaming out of its socket, plugged it in something that was highly useful and plugged it into reality. And I was just like, holy crap, I get it. And I was able to get out of high school and actually go to college over it and stuff like that. While some of my other friends were like dropouts, had 3 children, stuff like that. And they were not even like 21 yet, so, and it's like, it was amazing. So yeah. So believe in yourself, believe in gaming, believe that not only it's fun, but it can help you out too. So
yeah, I mean,
that's my 2 cents.
Like, there's, one thing about, gaming stuff that's interesting is, when you have companies that do these team building workshops and these trust falls and all this other stuff, you have all of those things in a tabletop RPG adventure. In like a 4-hour adventure, you can go through an entire team building exercise, and find out stuff about each other and learn things. I mean, I am still part of a group of guys. We call ourselves the Body Vandals because of a joke that we had in a tabletop game where we kept making sure all the dead bodies were actually dead and not going to rise up in some kind of way. And so we're vandalizing bodies, and that was the joke. It was like, why are we vandalizing these bodies? That's the Body Vandals. But the funny part about that is that like what it did show is that all of us were fairly cautious people, and we're not going to just like barrel through things and not try to figure out what's going on. And it's like a thing to learn about somebody from a gaming experience. And so these companies do these kinds of things. In fact, I know a gentleman who's a fire lieutenant, And he's involved in tabletop RPGs because when he got introduced to them, he realized that like they constantly do these mock scenarios where they run through like an emergency situation all the time. And he was like, this is exactly the same kind of thing that you do at a D&D table. Like, except that instead of it being like a dragon is attacking a village, what do? It's like, you know, there's a fire coming out of the sewer system and you guys have to get dressed up and go pretend that you're rocking through the sewer to find the, like, you know, fire and where its source is. It's all the same stuff. He's like, the difference is like one is a little bit more dangerous than the other one. But the point is that there's no reason why we can't be like, games are not valid, right? They do that for people. And funny, another story on that same note, I was telling my my wife's uncle what exactly Maximum Apocalypse was, and he was like not getting it. But he was a guy who grew up for like his whole life building ships, right? Just making ships. And he retired as a retired ship maker in Astoria here in Oregon. And then we were talking about it, and then I started telling him about an adventure that involved a ship that I'd written. And then he just started telling me about all these crazy ship stories about ships that broke down for whatever reason, and like these real stories. And I started like taking notes. And the more he talked, the more he was getting into it. And he's like, so basically you sort of like create these like situations like, oh, there's a fire that broke out in the engine room and like the players, your players have to figure out how to solve that. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh man, I got so many more. And he just started getting into telling me about these things. And it was like this interesting, my wife was sort of like interested in this whole thing because I was taking real world experiences and turning them into adventure modules essentially. And like Duchess of the Mississippi, an adventure that I wrote for Maximum Apocalypse, came directly from this conversation I had with this guy, because that's what gaming does. It allows you to like, I'm not ever going to get in a ship fire, I don't think, but because I've talked to somebody who has been in an engine room fire on a ship out in the water, and how they had to solve that, I know I'm actually probably more prepared for being on a boat and having a fire break out in the engine room because I ran through a fake scenario with a guy and then wrote it all out and like the solutions, how they would solve this, these skills would be necessary and that kind of thing. So gaming, man, it can help you be a real quality person.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the beauties of gaming, and especially in a community that is as broad as the absolute tabletop community. And that's one of the things that I like to focus on with the show Help Action that I do, is that it doesn't matter what walk of life that you come from, you have experiences that are valid and that you can draw upon in order to enrich your gaming experience, and vice versa, that you can take things from the gaming table that you might learn playing with other people, or learning the rules or what have you, that you can then take and then apply in a meta sense to your everyday life. And it's really just kind of about realizing that it's such a broad thing, such a broad application, that is really just about kind of examining what it is that you're bringing to the table and being honest with yourself about what your strengths and your weaknesses are. And then just preparing for, to have what you need when you're going to get into a moment of vulnerability or weakness at the table. Have the tools that you need to fall back on in order to supplement the skill set that you don't have developed yet. And gaming can teach you a lot of those kinds of skills if you just kind of pay attention and understand where they could be applied elsewhere in your life. So it's a really unique experience, gaming. It's a hobby unlike anything else that I've ever seen in my life. And it's amazing to see it now being used as a tool for mental health, for growth and change outside of, just sitting together and having fun at a table and rolling dice together. So I'm super, super for it. And any charity that pops up with that kind of as their goal, that they have my support 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%
Sure.
of the proceeds, even, right, from a convention. That's
exactly
exactly. And on that note, just as the last thing, and then we'll let everyone break and go to your various places that you need to go, or games that I have to run in about a half hour. Is that we've only for this convention we've only raised about $55 or $60, somewhere like that. But I'm absolutely going to supplement that and throw at least $100 at the guys over there at Mini Terrain Domain. So yeah, that's definitely happening. So it doesn't it doesn't really matter how much we raise. That's how I set a target goal, and I was like, if we go past that goal, great, wonderful. If we don't, then that's still the amount. That's the minimum amount I'm still throwing at them. So, so hopefully we do get more people in, and we can get more than that. But that's what I'm. Hey, we made some money, and that's enough for me. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. So that's fine. So I like I was saying yesterday when there was the person that was like, oh, I want to do it, but it's it's costs money, and I was like, hey, listen, don't let that be the barrier. Like, come on in, join, have fun. I will give you a free badge if that lets you come in to play. Like I don't
I
care.
mean,
Like I just want
shoot,
I just want you to be here and have fun. That's what I'm after. Yeah.
I mean, I saw Abcaver the other day. Just the other day, it's like, hey, I'll buy you a badge if you want to seriously play.
That's
stuff like
actually
that.
what happened. This
That
person
was
who-
Philip. Philip.
Yeah,
Matthew
Philip.
was-
Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to Philip.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
massive shout out to Philip. I wouldn't be here without him because he was the one that was like, hey, check this out. So, but yeah, no, that's the kind of people, right, that I'm glad to be to be associated with in this group, right?
Yeah,
and that's
for
good.
sure.
So that's my feelings on that.
For sure.
But okay, well then I'll end this just by saying, hey, thanks for watching all the way through. If you watched all the way through, if you're watching this later on YouTube, great, you get to see it on YouTube. If you never watch this, that's still fine. I'm still okay with you being you and doing what you're gonna do because it's long. It's an hour and 20 minutes or so. So hey, it's fine. Anyway, hope to see you guys gaming. I'll do a closing ceremony. I don't know if anyone will join me, but I'll definitely say goodbye to everyone and do some stuff. I don't know if I'll award anyone any cool awards like the Absolute Tabletop people do because I didn't set anything up for that. But hey, whatever. Let's just have fun and hang out and enjoy each other's company as a community. So that's it. That's all I got. So goodbye, everybody. I hope to see you at the table. Oh, wrong mouse. I'm trying to figure out why I couldn't leave. All right, now we're going to properly, much more professionally leave. Goodbye, everyone.